So next, as you're working, your pigment is going to get low here. So even though you don't see it going low, because it's kind of colored in, you can sip a little bit like this again and get back to working. You need to refill this container with pigment. The next exercise I want you to do is, it's the same one, just we're going to go backwards. We're going to start again from left to right. And see, I have a droplet here. It's fine, I can continue working with the droplet, but the problem, let's say if you're working on the eyebrows with the droplet and it will fall on the skin, it's going to create a little mess and you might get confused at what you're doing. So I like to keep it clean, so I will let this droplet, I'm going to clean it up if I see it with a cotton round. And this is just water. I'm just using water here. Water and cotton rounds. You can use just some type of just regular water wipes or cotton rounds, paper towels, anything just with water. Okay, so next exercise. You're going to start doing the same thing as you just did. You're going to start 5, I would say 5 to 7 dots. You're going to lay them neatly, one next to the other. And see, my hand is also standing here on the table right now. It's more comfortable that way, right? But when you're working on someone's face, on someone's head, it's not always going to be so comfortable. You're not always going to be able to lay your hand on their face. There are going to be areas where you have to work up in the air. So you might want to exercise with the most difficult way that it's going to be, because it's really easy to work on latex. It's not going to be so easy on a real person. So I want you to make it more complicated. I want you to hold your hand up in the air and don't get relaxed, so that later when you're in the same situation on someone's face, you are able to perform and do nice work. See, now I don't see the pigment, but I see that I just sipped in some pigment here. What that means is that my ink probably dried inside. So sometimes when you work for a long time, even though you add pigment in and you leave it in, or you leave the pigment inside of this tube, it's going to dry up and it's not going to flow. And you're going to be confused why it's happening. So what you need to do in that case, that's why I have this water. As the machine working, you see it's working, I'm going to just dip it in and I'm going to let it sit there and it's going to clean itself. And you heard that noise where the needle just hit the bottom. You're not supposed to do that, because that's going to bend your needle, especially when you're working on the client. You're supposed to be really mindful and not to hit the bottom of the cup. So you held it for a few seconds and then you go to the cotton round and let it sip out. And you can do it a few times like that. In and out. Sip in and out. In and out like that. And you'll see that it's being clean. Just see, it's perfectly clean now. What I do sometimes when I'm working on clients, I use a wet cotton, really, really wet, to clean my little nozzle. But you have to be careful with the needle. I'm used to this needle and I know what I'm doing, but I recommend when you first start out, you use a separate little container with water to clean it so that you don't stick yourself. So okay, it's clean. So I'm going to sip in some ink. So this is water, it's dirty now, and this is my ink. I'm going to sip it again. I'm going to hold it for a few seconds. I'm not going all the way deep. I'm just sipping it for a few seconds from the top. And I'm going to continue going. Now it's going to flow a lot better. See, it's flowing perfectly. I'm going to go for like half an inch again. And now, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to overlap again, 30 to 40%, but from the top. See, I have this droplet again. A lot of times I have this problem with the ink, with the tattoo ink, because it's very thin. You get these droplets, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You keep your machine straight at 90-degree angle, and then you overlap. Overlap, and you keep going down. And the same rule goes here. You overlap, and you want to create that even sheet of color. Sometimes it's a little bit harder when you do it from the bottom up. It's a little bit harder to make it more even. But this is actually the way you are going to be working on the real client. Many times you're going to go bottom up on the eyebrows. So that's why you have to practice and learn how to create this even color from top to the bottom, from bottom up, from left to right, from right to left, from any direction, any way, in the most uncomfortable position, and you're still able to create this perfect even sheet of color. You're able to draw in any situation. Sometimes it takes me a little while to draw a little more, so that I'm not, see, right now I'm making a little bit of zebra because I haven't practiced. Sometimes I still practice after many years. I still practice sometimes. See, now I'm wiping and I see a little bit of zebra here, because that means I need to sit here and practice for a little bit so I can draw perfectly. That has to show you that. Oh, and also I wanted to tell you that sometimes if you can't wipe this clean, you can take this whole latex and wash it with soap and water, and then it's going to be perfectly clean. Or you can use Vaseline. Vaseline helps to clean it as well. So, see, I made zebra, which is, you know, it's all right. I'm going to start again. And so that means that when I'm going in, my first stroke, I'm going too fast. It's too harsh. So I need to soften it a little bit. That's what it means when I see zebra like that. So the stroke has to be a bit softer. Now it's a lot better. Now I'm able to blend everything together. So you need to learn what you need to do in order to blend all your strokes so they're nice and even. See, now it's good. So that's your next exercise. First one, you learn to go from top to bottom. The second one, from bottom to the top. Until you do that, you need to do like five lines, or maybe 5 pieces of latex, or however long it's going to take you, so that you can create those perfect even blocks of color. Next exercise is going to be, we're going to start from doing the same thing. We're going to start our usual blocks of color, and then we're just going to continue going from left to right. Starting your dots up at the top should be really nice, like really tiny little dots. The same at the bottom. They should be tiny, barely, you can barely see them. The biggest dots should be in the middle. And you just keep going. And they all should look the same. They should be, all the dots should, you should not have like really thick dots or really thin dots, and you should not have any gaps in between your strokes. Everything should be nice and even, like this. And you just keep going. Keep going. You like one stroke, and then one really next on top of, almost on top of it. You just one and then one right next to it, like really tightly together. And you keep going. I don't want to see any gaps in between the strokes. I don't want to see any uneventy of the color. Everything should be perfect.